Hey, it's John from 6 Place Off-Road. Today we're going to show you how to light up the night. This is going to be the same for basically any pod light, any light bar that you're going to buy through a reputable supplier or even Amazon. These kits are pretty straightforward, but here's how it goes. So the wire we're going to go through today is the Deutsch style. This is very common, especially when you're getting kits like this. So it's got a fuse, relay, switch, and this guy does have dual outputs, so we can run it to 2 lights. Some will come with a single. The other option here is you can actually get a splitter that'll run it to 2 as well if you're not drawing too much power. This one's the one we're going to go through today. Super quick and easy. All right, so first things first, let's take this harness, pull it all out, and let's pull this fuse out so that we don't have any possible way to have a connection, so we can't short it. Toss that aside. Positive, ground. This guy here is going to go to the positive on the battery, this guy to the negative on the battery. These can also be grounded to the chassis itself. Now this way that we're going to wire it will mean that you can turn these lights on and off even without the vehicle on, which means if you leave it in the on position, you walk away from your truck, your lights are going to stay on. There are other ways to do this. I will do another video where I show you how to tap it off of something that is only on when the vehicle's on. That way it turns off automatically, which is something you can do if you wanted to add heated seats or anything like that to the vehicle. So first things here, we'll connect this. I made these little gator clips. These are literally just for testing the whole system and to show you guys how you'd actually do it when you have your battery clamps to the terminals, is this would go on and tighten up in there and pinch between. So I made these just for this video. I also have these so that when I'm doing customers' vehicles, I can quickly test everything. Because if you run this from the engine bay into the cab, have everything set up and realize that somewhere in here there's a broken wire, you're gonna pull the whole thing out again because you're not gonna be able to chase that. It's not gonna be worth your time. But if you test it first, you know that you started with it working. So if there is an issue after, it's a lot easier to figure out. You can see, just have those connected like that. Very simple. Pull one light, pop that guy there, Deutsch. Pull off the cover. Some have covers, some don't. These are a good idea because cops can definitely hit you with big tickets if you are running aftermarket lights, and they can be turned on the highway while driving. So take this guy. Red power, so we're gonna hook that up to the positive and negative. So now you can see we have nothing because there's no fuse in there. So this guy here is a 30 amps. We're gonna pop that in. Boom, daylight. That is literally how easy it is to hook you these kits. The other Deutsch in, connected. Positive, negative, ground, or switch. Now you're light. So now that we know how to wire these nice, simple, basic kits, we need to figure out how to actually do it in the truck. Biggest thing is that this and this are quite large. We want to be getting through that firewall, like through one of the grommets that we can access, basically with just these wires, just that thickness. We want to be as small as possible. We want to keep that sealed. We can also do that once we get it through. We'll add silicone, things like that. But we're not going to make a hole this big. So we have 2 choices with this style switch. We can undo these. That's going to make us smaller. You know, not as small as it could be, but quite a bit smaller. We can get that through. The other option, which is one that I do 99% of the time, is I will cut these wires and splice them. Very, very easy to do with butt connectors. For example, something like these guys. Once we run it through, we can splice these back together. I wouldn't recommend using these ones that I personally have in front of me. This is just what I have at the house right now to give you an example. They do make these now with heat shrink. That's the way I would go. I heat shrink everything when I'm doing electrical. There's always moisture, even if you're not really getting into water crossings and things like that. I mean, you know your car, there's moisture everywhere. Use heat shrink, that's gonna keep it fairly watertight. Another thing I like to bring up when it comes to switches is some of these come with incredibly ugly teardrop switches or really cheap feeling switches. get rid of those. If you need it temporarily, or if you don't care, those will work. They'll do the trick. But if you're putting a lot of time and effort into your build, it doesn't really make sense to use cheap switches. If you're running stuff like Toyotas, whether it's Tacomas, Tundras, 4Runners, they actually do make aftermarket switches that fit in those little, what people call poverty buttons, spots where it's just a blank because you didn't pay for that feature, and sometimes they even have them on the top ends. But anyways, they make replacement switches for those that'll pop right into these. Look factory, they illuminate the same, they're the way to go for sure. If not, this guy here, drill a little hole. So I think this guy's a 3/4 inch. That'll pop in there nicely, and now you've got a nice clean switch. So here are a couple of the switches I was talking about. This guy here, on, off. So you can run that to control the lights on or off exactly how I just wired it. This one does have a third setting, so it's off, on, off, on. We can wire this guy to be triggered when we leave it in the one setting, so that when you run your high beams, the lights will come on with your high beam. So if you're on some back roads that are a little more secluded, but you still may come across somebody, it's really nice to be able to just pop them off with your high beams instead of reaching around trying to knock everything off. That's that guy. The next one here is the Toyota one I was talking about. So this guy here, it functions just like a Toyota switch. On, off. Does illuminate in the background, and that is going to match, or as close as possible match, that Toyota blue you kind of get from your factory lights. And that is just how easy it is to run any of these pre-set up wire looms in your truck, SUV, car, boat, whatever it is. Super simple. These kits, if you're buying them though, do make sure that it has a switch or that you can replace it. The other thing you're going to really want to make sure is that you are running proper relays and a fused line. Never install any electrical without a fuse. When it comes to lights, the relays as well are very, very important. Just get a kit. I've come across guys before who hardwire it to do it themselves. It seems like it's a giant pain. I have done it before, but the easiest is just to buy a kit. You know, you're looking at $30, $45 for a wiring harness like this, because it's really just doing one function. It's worth the money, easy to run. Yeah, let me know what you think. If you have questions, put them down below. Like, subscribe, all that stuff, and we'll definitely get some more of these out to you. So the lights I used today for this example are the Vivid Lumen FNG5s. These are ridiculous. They have what's called a Hyperbeam, so they're super focused. This is a little bit more for like a Baja racer or someone who's going to run like 5, 7 of them up top. For me, I'm running 2. I'm running them as spots just to kind of add on. They do make these, which are kind of cool though. So these clip on just the same as the cover. And now that changes not only the color, but it does change the beam pattern, so that not only is it just that hyper, but it will spread out a little bit to make it a little more useful for what I'm going to do. I may actually get their set that spreads them a little more than that, so not just the half, but the full. They're pretty cool if you check them out here. Maybe don't put that in the camera, so you can see my 2 different colorways there. And here is one more comparison to give you another option on these colors on these guys. Do that. Shut up the wall behind me if you can kind of see. Bit difficult. Those are 2 more options. So if you're wondering, well, why would I run different colors? Is it just to look different? No. The biggest reason is we need to see in different conditions. When you're in dust, sand, snow, the bright white doesn't do what you want it to. It actually bounces a lot of light back at you. It can cause a lot of fatigue. It's blinding. Ambers, yellows, these are going to work much, much better, and they're actually going to give you definition. So they're going to give you definition in the sand, give you definition in the snow. You can actually see where you're going. The nice thing with a lot of these companies is these are interchangeable. So when the conditions change, you can change them. That way you don't have to buy set ones. Now, a lot of other companies do make the lenses interchangeable as well, so you'll get it from pretty much every company. I just like these ones.